Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Welcome back to the show, Sharon.
Hello, Jim. Thank you.
Sharon, we have some follow-up questions to your massive smart meter fire report. And first off, for fires caused by smart meters, are you aware of any proof of evidence tampering?
Oh, yes. Yes, for sure. In my report, which I submitted to every politician that's involved, and to the BC Utilities Commission and everyone, I provided quite a few examples where the smart meters have been removed from the scene of a fire, illegally, by the way, before any of the inspections were completed. This is a common occurrence, and it's happening all over the place. It's not just in British Columbia. In fact, the Quebec firefighters were complaining about it, and there were quite a few news articles in which they asked for action to be taken to make sure that the smart meters were left in place so they could be examined. With the smart meters being taken, even if everything else has been ruled out, there can be no determination made. The fire inspector's report will say cannot be determined. And many of the fire reports that were electrical in nature, that satisfied all the criteria that would seem to come to a logical conclusion that it was the smart meters, arrived at the determination that nothing could be determined as the cause because the smart meter, and they didn't say this in some instances they did, that the determination could not be made because the smart meter had been removed. The BC Safety Authority, it's got a new name now, but when I was working on my fire report, it was the BC Safety Authority, has the responsibility under law to review and inspect any electrical fire. And many times they were not informed quickly enough so that they could get to the fire. Sometimes they weren't informed at all. But oftentimes, when they were informed, and they got there shortly thereafter, the meter was long gone. And Hydro admits it takes it. It admits it takes it, and oftentimes it has said, well, we're sending it to our lab, which is PowerTech. I've checked with PowerTech, and now remember, I haven't done anything on this in the last 2 years because it seems useless. But I had gone to PowerTech, and they had told me that they had never received a burned smart meter, and neither had they ever inspected one. So we have no information on the causes of the smart meters causing fire. That we have nothing that's been inspected, but yet there were many instances where the smart meters were there, and the determination was that the smart meters had caused the fires. Yet no one is doing anything, as far as I know. The government has been extremely silent. BC Hydro says it's not the case, that they're relying upon information that is both inaccurate and incomplete. And the BC Utilities Commission says that their hands are tied, even though the NDP, Minister Mungle, earlier this year, I think it was in January, said that she was going to allow BC Utilities Commission to have its oversight as it's supposed to have under the law. And she was going to allow it to become involved in the smart meter program. If you remember, in 2010, the Clean Energy Act was a law that was written by the Liberals, and in it they did two very odd things. They allowed the Site C and the smart meter program to go forward without any significant public consultation or approval, and as far as I know, the first time ever, they eliminated any oversight by BC Utilities Commission, which is the regulatory body that's supposed to have the duty for oversight to make sure that our money's being used wisely, the programs are needed. And just 2 years prior, the BC Utilities Commission had declined an application for a smart meter program, saying, one, it was not cost effective, and two, the technology was unreliable. It hadn't been tested thoroughly yet. No, I don't have any more information. I have nothing else to tell you.
Are you aware of any complaints to or investigations by the RCMP relating to smart meter fires and evidence tampering?
No, and I haven't reported it. I didn't feel that, in fact, it never even occurred to me to do that. It's not really an RCMP issue, I don't believe. But interestingly enough, one of the homes where there was a fire that was deemed to be caused by a smart meter occurred at an RCMP's officer's home. And if I recall correctly, and I may not because I don't have the report in front of me, this may have been one of the homes where the smart meter was either burned up because it's combustible. You can't review something that is no longer there. It burns up and it's gone. Or that the smart meter was gone. I believe that it was one of the homes where the smart meter could not be confirmed to be the cause.
Regarding smart meters, are you aware of any private prosecutions or civil lawsuits against BC Hydro or the makers, Itron?
Yeah, there have been some lawsuits here in British Columbia. One occurred from, and it may still be ongoing. I can't get any information. The lawyer refused to share any information with me. But there was a home, and I believe it was in Mission, early on. Again, it's in my report. It was a home early on that caught fire, and the homeowner did have a lawsuit against Hydro. There have been lawsuits against Hydro. I've been able to just get notification that there has been, but I cannot get any details because it's, confidential. Also, I suspect, as I've said before, that BC Hydro has had quite a few settlements with insurance companies, either BC Hydro or Itron. But again, I can't get any information on this. The only reason I suspect it is because the insurance companies are paying the claims even when smart meters are involved, and they are not speaking out. Insurance companies never lose money. Their job is to provide service, but to also make money for their shareholders. And the insurance companies never, as far as I know, have never refused to pay a claim associated with a smart meter fire. But neither will they provide information to the homeowner about their inspection, nor will they speak out to the public warning about the fact that smart meter fires are happening. And the only reason I suspect they are silent on the issue is that they're not losing money on it. This means to me that they are using a clause that's in every insurance policy. It's called subrogation, which means that if the insurance company finds that another body, agency, person is guilty of having caused the harm that resulted in claims, they will recover their claims from that person or agency. And on top of that, they're increasing the premiums for the victims, 30 or 40% for the first 3 or 4 years. So the insurance company is in a situation where I believe it's acting in a manner that is not appropriate as a fiduciary. They have a fiduciary responsibility to act on behalf of their policyholders. And they aren't. They are acting on behalf of their shareholders, not their policyholders. They are paying the claims, so the claimants have nothing to complain about, but they're not warning their other policyholders about the potential that their homes could burn, their families could be killed, their possessions lost. And I believe that this is being done knowingly and in collusion with BC Hydro and or Itron. I know this is a serious charge I'm laying, but I've tried to get information to the contrary. I've tried very hard. I've gone to the provincial insurance commissioner. I've gone to the provincial financial institutions that oversees the insurance commissioner. I've written to individual insurance companies, and I can't get any information. They are silent on the topic.
And I'm sure, too, if they had settlements in court, there's probably a confidentiality clause.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think that the insurance companies are suing Hydro or Itron. I think Hydro and Itron realize that if they do that, that could raise the issue. They could get some publicity somehow. People might learn about it. There is a subrogation clause. And if the insurance company's inspector, which is often far better qualified as a forensic inspector than anything that for instance, BC Safety Authority or the Fire Commissioner would have, if the insurance inspector finds that the smart meter is at fault, they would have evidence, so they could go after Hydro or Itron, and it would I think be very unlikely that there would have to be a lawsuit under the subrogation clause. The insurance company would provide that evidence and would probably be reimbursed.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
I'm Douglas Mason, CEO of Naturally Splendid, symbol NSP on the TSX Venture Exchange. Naturally Splendid is a biotechnology and consumer products company focused on the global cannabis and health markets. Naturally Splendid is expanding distribution in this rapidly growing market with products currently in Canada, the USA, South Korea, Germany, and Australia. To view our comprehensive company presentation and for more information, please visit our website at naturallysplendid.com.
Grand Portage Resources' Herbert Gold Project in southeast Alaska highlights increased gold resource, indicated and inferred, of 860,000 ounces, in excess of 10 grams per ton gold. Expansion drilling is planned on the Herbert Gold property for the summer of 2019. Grand Portage Resources trading symbols are GPG on the TSX Venture, GPTRF on the OTCQB, and GPB on Frankfurt. For more information, please visit our website, grandportage.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, how did the presentations go by Dr. Martin Paul, an expert on electromagnetic frequency radiation, an expert from Washington State University?
They were well attended. There were 7 presentations, I believe, in all, on Vancouver Island and in the area of Vancouver. And the sad thing is, for instance, in Victoria, we invited every local mayor and councillor. We invited MPs for the area. And we invited every health authority, including Dr. Bonnie Henry, Richard Stanwyck, all the health officers. And only one mayor, the mayor of Saanich, and I believe 4 councillors attended, and we invited them to a luncheon. And no one came, only one mayor and 4 councillors. And I'm unaware of any others attending our evening presentation. It just shows you the lack of interest, the willful negligence. They don't want to know how dangerous 5G is. We've written them, we've sent them information. We have begged them to meet with people. In Vancouver, Paula May, who was organizing things over there, tried to arrange a meeting with Vancouver City Council so that they could discuss things with Dr. Paul, and they refused. And I believe one council, I believe it was Surrey, but don't quote me, I believe that was the situation. One council in that area did meet with Dr. Paul, allowed him to make a short presentation. I think it was 10 or 15 minutes. Not one question. Nothing. The interest is not there. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to learn that this new technology that is going to be implemented throughout our cities, throughout our neighborhoods within the next year is dangerous. That scientists and experts around the world are warning that this new technology, it's not just an upgrade to the current. The way, like 3G was upgraded from 2G. These are generations where they've added, something that, a broader frequency range so that they can provide service more quickly. It's not an upgrade this is something brand new. The technology requires new transmitters, new phased array antenna that are going to be beaming these horribly strong signals like laser beams directly toward people, toward homes, toward cars. They're going to be using milliwave frequencies that have never been used outside the military for crowd control. We're facing things that are brand new, and no one wants to know.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp, MGI and the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected several high-grade gold intersections, including 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. Additional drill targets on the LH property have been identified by a 2018 drone airborne magnetic survey to further evaluate a pyrrhotite-enriched gold-bearing system. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, it sounds like 5G, maybe city councils just feel overwhelmed because telecommunication companies are under federal legislation. So maybe they feel there's nothing they can do. But what about Berkeley, California, where they've been successfully fighting, things like they required people to have warning labels on their phones saying there's dangerous radiation if it's close to your body. And they've had courts uphold that by law, haven't they?
Yes, they did. Yeah, it's gone through at least 2 appeal courts. The telecom companies will continue to appeal it. But all that Berkeley is asking, and this is something that Canada has never even considered, all Berkeley was asking is for the right for people to know. Every cell phone manual has by law in it warnings that the cell phone should not be held near the body. Many cell phones say it should be at close to an inch away from the body. That includes your hand, not just your head, at all times when in use. But it's hidden in the manual. Who looks at it? And most manuals now are online. And even if you search for it, it's hard to find. All that Berkeley wants to do is to put a label on the box or a sign on the counter where people are paying, saying what is in the manual. And it has been upheld. It took a battle, but it has been upheld. Now, this is a cell phone, and there are thousands of studies that show cell phones are dangerous. The radiation has been studied for many years, and there is a direct correlation, according to many, many experts, and according to the most recent studies like the National Toxicology Project, that show a direct correlation between cell phone radiation and cancers, glioblastomas and cancers of the heart and things like that. For 5G, it's different technology. And I question, we don't know if the municipalities don't have the right to say no. TELUS is using our right-of-ways, the land along our roads that are owned by our municipal governments, owned by us, to put these things there without telling people. These antenna, these cell transmitters that are not unlike the cell transmitters that are now up on the towers, they're usually some distance from homes. These are being put outside homes, just feet, in some instances, from bedroom windows where children could be sleeping. They right now are activated with the 4G and the 3G transmitters, that's third generation, fourth generation transmitters that are used for cell phones, Wi-Fi, things like that. They have the 5G transmitter that's made by Huawei, the Chinese company, that are not yet activated, but will be shortly. The city has a right to know what's being put on its public property. The Industry Canada wrote a policy in 2003, and it said that the public has no right to know what's going on, to be consulted, to be notified, so long as a transmitter is being put on an existing structure. And they justified this by saying the public's not interested or concerned about health problems. They're only concerned about aesthetics. So let's not build as many new towers as we need. Let's encourage companies to co-locate, to put more antennas on existing structures, like towers on apartment buildings, things like this. And when they do that, no one will know. But the landowner, the property owner, if TELUS wants to put an antenna on your home, if you want to rent that home out so that he could do that, TELUS could do that, you have to be paid, they can't just do it. They can't just take over your yard or your property to put a tower or an antenna in it. You have to agree. Any landowner has to agree. And that's always the final step, the crucial step. If the landowner says no, the telecommunication companies have to go elsewhere. And I am trying to find out if the city can say no. This is not an essential service. 5G is superfluous. We don't have it now and we're functioning just fine. It's not an essential service like water or electricity or sewage. So the municipalities should be able to say no. We will not allow these to be put on our rights of way, even though they're being put on towers and the poles that are owned by Hydro or TELUS. The property that those poles sit on belong to the municipality. And the approval was given for Hydro and TELUS because those were considered essential services. So I think people should be going to their councillors. They should be demanding that the city say no. We don't want this in our neighborhood. And instead, what the city should be doing, if they truly get pushback from their residents that they want faster internet, and this is all that TELUS is promising, even though the industry is saying it's really bogus. The additional speed the 5G offers is really significant for the corporations, and it will allow things like communications with cars. It will, more in gathering of data that will be sold through the cloud, through the Internet of Things. The individual is probably not going to notice a heck of a lot of difference. But if the residents want faster service, the way to get it is through fiber optic cable. We want wireless free. We want fully wired fiber optic cable connected to the Internet. That will be faster than wireless can ever be. Plus, it's more secure. It's much harder to hack. Wireless grids, and especially 5G wireless grids that are being built by TELUS in conjunction and partnering with Huawei, are completely vulnerable to cyber attacks. Fiber optic that is completely wired every step of the way will be very hard to have cyber attacks or your privacy infringed upon. And in addition, it's going to be safer. And there's no reason on this earth why we cannot have fiber optic cable brought to our homes. This is the future. This is the way things are going to be done. If people really want faster streaming, faster access to movies, things like that, fiber optic cable. And as Timothy Sheckley, who appeared at Nanaimo and Duncan and Victoria presentations with Dr. Paul, is trying to encourage people to look for what he calls the connected communities, where communities own their own fiber optic network. It's an investment in the future, and then residents can buy their internet from the city who owns the network, and that's how they pay for it. It would be cheaper. A lot of people are paying, like I'm paying $100 a month for my internet service. If I could get it for $30 or $40 a month, what a deal that would be. And it would be faster and better in every way. So I think the municipalities right now are intimidated, and they're operating on what may be a false premise. They have been cowed by Industry Canada for years, being told, excuse me, that they can't do anything. It's just not true. I don't think it's true.
You're concerned that perhaps microwave radiation might be involved in the death of hundreds of seabirds off the U.S. coast during military electronic warfare exercises. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Yesterday, I received a very interesting email from someone who lives down in Washington State, and she and her husband had observed hundreds and hundreds of seabirds dead along the beaches in an area of Washington State where the U.S. military is carrying out EMR war games. And her husband happened to have a meter with him, an RF meter, and he took readings that exceeded any of the guidelines that are allowed in either the U.S. or Canada, where our exposure guidelines are among the worst in the world. They were even higher than that. And she wrote away to some government officials in her area, and of course it's too soon for her to have heard back yet, asking if they can find out if the U.S. war games are being held in that area, if those were the reasons for the high radiation levels from the ocean. Her husband was pointing his meter out toward the ocean, and the readings were coming from there. In many updates, excuse me, Jim, over the months, over the last 2-3 years, I've sent out information from the Port Angeles, from the Olympic Peninsula groups who are fighting the U.S. Navy's efforts to have EMR war games carried out over the next 5 years. And I believe they've started. They're using hundreds of planes from Whidbey Island and flying over the Puget Sound, over the Olympic Peninsula, and most likely over some of the British Columbia Islands every day, shooting microwave radiation out. They're experimenting on ways of debilitating pilots in planes if they should attack, and things like that. At least that's what we've been told. But if this radiation is killing seabirds, what's it doing to the mammals, to the orcas, to the dolphins, to the whales that are out there trying to survive? And what's happening to the people who happen to be living in the areas as well? These planes don't just shoot it in one area. They're not just shooting it over the water. I mean, they said they would be shooting it to areas on the Olympic Peninsula. They, in some of the material that was received from the military, they were going to be having transmitters that would be on trucks, and they would be moved around areas in northern Washington so that the planes would be communicating with them. This is very dangerous, and we have no idea if something else is going on, but it just seems more than a coincidence that when these birds are dying on the beach, that the radiation level is so extremely high in the same environment.
Sharon, you also have rallies that are going to happen in the Vancouver and Victoria areas concerning people who are worried about 5G. Where are they, and when are they?
This is an international rally day. This is the second one. We didn't have any major participation in the first one. We didn't learn about it in time. But a group called Americans for Responsible Technology, and it's a group of scientists and doctors and other very concerned citizens, are trying to make people more aware about what is happening. As you know, Jim, most media will not cover any of these issues that you cover with me. And the only way people will find out is word of mouth. And so the Americans for Safer Technology have been calling for international rallies on specific dates, and they're around the world. And there are many, many places in the U.S. I don't know of very many places in Canada yet. I'm hoping there are more that I don't know about. But the international rally, it's International Action Day to stop 5G, is July 27th. And there are going to be two major rallies. One is in Victoria, and it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 11:30, and it's going to be at the legislative steps. And we're going to have some speakers, and we hope people will come down. We're going to have information to hand out. We want to raise awareness. We hope people will come down with their signs. And those who don't know, come down. We want to give you some information that hopefully you can take home, study, and then share with your friends and family. And hopefully join us to fight. The second rally is in Vancouver. And Jim, you have the address, I believe.
Yes, it's going to be at Creekside Park in Vancouver. That's 1455 Quebec Street near Science World. And what time would that be?
That's going to be from 2 until 4:30. And they're going to have speakers, and they're going to be marching around the area down there that is quite active on the weekends. This is going to be on a Saturday. It's a week from tomorrow.
You could drop by that rally, I guess, on your way to the football game at BC Place against Saskatchewan. So
I hope that people will come by, even if you come by for a few minutes, to show your support, to pick up information. This is information that you won't get any other place right now. You have to find a group. You have to find a group like that one in Vancouver. Join with us. We've got so much information on our website and in the newsletters that I send out every night about the science that's occurring, the evidence that Dr. Paul gave out that shows that every study that's been done shows that all life, it's going to be plants, animals, especially our pollinators, are going to be affected. And the vulnerable, children and older people, this is going to be hitting us in our homes with involuntary exposure to very high levels of radiation. We can't turn it off. We can't choose not to have it. We can choose not to use a cell phone. We can choose not to use a cordless phone. We can choose to use wired internet, Ethernet cables. The safe way to use an internet is to turn off all Wi-Fi capacity. Get a wired modem, hook it up with your Ethernet cable. But you don't have that choice with these new modems or these new transmitters that are going to be on poles throughout your neighborhood. They're going to be put every few homes because the milliwave does not travel far. So they're going to be putting these cell transmitters every 100 to 200 meters. You're not going to escape it in your home, where you work, in hospitals, in schools. And it is terrifying to experts like Dr. Paul, who know what the consequences are. So please, this is something we should not be messing around with. We don't need it. There's no reason for it. The only justification that the corporations are giving, if you read their information, is that they will be able to gather more data, and this data will be it's personal data. They will be getting information that is not needed for billing purposes. They will be getting it through your smart meter. And your smart meter will be getting the information from all the smart appliances, everything that you have, everything that you use that has a smart chip in it. And it's going to be extremely hard to buy things that don't have chips. It will know when you leave for work. It will know when you feed your family. It will know everything about you. Things that they have no right to know. And it's going to be sent through the smart meter, through 5G transmitters that are outside your home, and it's going to be available anywhere. In addition, this is going to be used for all sorts of new technology, like the driverless cars. It's going to be driving things that they say we want and we need, but it's going to be using our data to do it. This is something that has to be stopped, Jim. There is no justification for it. And our smart meters are the key. This is why the push for the smart meters. And my guess is, and it's purely a guess, I have nothing to base it on, but it makes so much sense when you think about it. Many of us are being faced right now, if we still have analogs. Hydro is playing hardball. They're threatening to turn off power and charge you $700 to get it back on. They're threatening people who have medical devices whose doctors say it's dangerous to be around microwave radiation. They're telling the people you have no choice. We're going to give you a smart meter. Even with the transmitter turned off, it's dangerous. But my guess is, even if you have a smart meter with the transmitter turned off right now, once 5G goes live, they're going to demand, Hydro will demand, that your transmitter be activated in your smart meter. They will use the same bullying tactics that they're using today to force you to have a smart meter on your home. They're going to say, if you do not allow us to turn your transmitter on, we will turn your power off. Then they will activate the Zigbee chip, the second transmitter that's in that smart meter. And it's the one that's only there to communicate with all your smart devices. Why else would it be there? Why would it be in your smart meter to begin with? They want to get all the information from your smart refrigerator, your smart stove, your Fitbit that you wear, whatever. And then you will be completely unable to control any of the information that is being sent out about you and about your home and about your family.
Sharon, thank you so much for chatting with us.
As always, Jim, it's my pleasure, and I thank you.
My guest has been Sharon Noble from the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. If you have any questions for Sharon or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.